Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And you have to say about this story, what a cheek! This guy is an SNP candidate. He wants to stand for Falkirk. He's of the name of Tony Giuliano. He has a very checkered and storied past when it comes to electioneering. He's been shunted in, he's been parachuted in. He's one of those serial failures at politics. And yet, this time, despite all the fails, he thinks he has got a chance of getting in and becoming an MP. He's a very weird looking guy. He's one of those where the head sort of precedes the hairline. Given that, you'd think, really, come on, son, shave it all off. You'll see a picture in a minute. But he's going to go in. And why I say he's cheeky is that he is absolutely against the cutting of the school week in his local council. And what's wrong with that, you say? Well, he's an SNP candidate and it's an SNP council. So he's kind of a bit against his own party policy there. A bit schizophrenic when it comes to party politics. So we'll take a look at him, have a laugh at his haircut, have a laugh at his policies, and ask why the good people of Falkirk really shouldn't be putting up with the likes of Tony Giuliano. Nobody should. Here goes. So, SNP candidate has a cheek as he campaigns to stop the Nat Council cutting the school day. Now, obviously, as I say, the council involved is an SNP council. He's an SNP candidate, and he's saying that the SNP have got it wrong. I think that'll go down within the party like a cup of cold sick. Now, Tony Giuliano, as I say, very weird man. You can see here from his haircut, his face seems to be accelerating away from the hair. He is one of those that should never have got the seat, and he was parachuted in. There was a lot of backroom shenanigans. There was people losing jobs. There was people complaining, but he got put in. So it's who you know, not what you know. Somebody is putting him up the greasy pole. You have to wonder why. But that's another story, and I've done the video of that in the past. Go back and check it out. Anyway, an SNP election candidate has been accused of blatant inconsistency. Say it ain't so. Say the SNP aren't inconsistent on every single policy. This is for pledging to stop cuts to the school day in the constituency, despite them being proposed by an SNP council. And of course, they want to shorten the school day on a Friday because they haven't got the money to pay teachers for a full week. And if they can get the kids out of the class for half a day, they can turn off the lighting and the heating and so forth. Save a little bit of money. This, of course, doesn't do much for the parents who then have to arrange for either childcare or different times of pickups and things like that. Especially if you've got two children at different schools, one early, one late. It's going to cause a lot of problems. And it's all because the council wastes money on things it doesn't need to be spending on. And of course the council agreed to freeze council tax. There was no legal obligation to do so, but they thought, I know, Humza's brilliant idea is great and we can do that and nobody will be affected. Except, of course, everybody's affected. This is the SNP way, though, isn't it? They don't think of consequences. They don't look at the choices they're making, the decisions they make, and see what will happen down the line. They lack that ability because we all know they're morons. Anyway, kids would be sent home at 12:30 under the proposal, which has been suggested to help fill a black hole in council coffers. One of the better ways, I think, would be to say to councillors, you don't get paid. You'll get your expenses and that's it. You want to be a councillor, you do it for the service element, not for the financial reward. Let's see how many then will quit because they can't afford to do it. Go and get a proper job. That would save a lot, wouldn't it? Anyway, Tony Giuliano has vowed to stop any moves at cutting the school day if elected to Westminster, despite him having no power to do so, because of course he hasn't. He's down there in Westminster. He's talking about that. Local council. It's a local issue. And that makes it very weird because the SNP don't like local councils having local issues. They want to centralise and have this monolithic structure where all decisions are made by that little coterie at the top. They don't like the idea of anyone having a bit of free will or making decisions without them micromanaging it. So if they do win the next Holyrood election, expect all things there to change. In election material, he claims that he will protect local school hours, which he won't. And in another bizarre campaign video, he says he's the only candidate with any influence within the SNP government ministers. Well, since he's the only SNP candidate, that's hardly surprising. His Conservative opponents in Falkirk, one of the 12 seats deemed too close to call in a recent poll, said Mr Giuliano was guilty of electioneering politics at its very worst. Oh, I don't know. I think next door was pretty bad, isn't it? Michael Matheson with his thieving of the £11,000 iPad wank bill. He's not very good either. Very quiet. Don't see him politicking very hard. Yes, I know it's SNP, but you don't see him out on the thing beating the... Sorry, it's MSP, I meant to say. But you don't see him out knocking on the doors trying to help Tony Giuliano in. He is nowhere to be seen. Kept well away from the public because he knows, and everyone knows, that if he was to go out his front door, he wouldn't get a minute's peace, would he? Anyway, speaking to the Scottish Express, local councillor James Bundy said there is a blatant inconsistency here. The SNP council brought forward a consultation about the reduction of school hours, while the SNP candidate claims he will save school hours. The immovable force beats the unstoppable object. I think it's the other way round, actually. But whatever, one of them's got to give. It's going to be Tony Giuliano. 1, who the hell is he? 2, he's not even guaranteed to get in. 3, even if he did, he's got no powers. The good people of Falkirk need to think about who they're voting for in the next council elections. That's the only thing that will change it. Anyway, rounding off, he said people in Falkirk have grave concerns about the reduction of hours in the school week, and we think hours in the classroom should be prioritised, particularly for those pupils who lost classroom time during COVID. Abso-bloody-lutely. There's the Skelpies. I think that cost something like 30 million quid or something. It's quite pretty, I suppose, but why? Not that Falkirk hasn't got enough. The Falkirk wheel. Fantastic. Anyway, going to round off. We'll come up and we'll finish the video. So there you go. You have this dichotomy about what one side of the party wants against what the other side of the party wants. Neither of them are going to give way. One has to do it for money. The other has to do his thing because he has to sound good for the electorate, even though he's got no ability to change anything. The SNP are riddled with inconsistencies like this, though, because nobody has any clear idea of leadership, because they haven't had a real leader since Sturgeon left. All they've had is glove puppets. There's no direction of travel. It's a bunch of people who don't really like each other, hanging around, desperate to remain in power, and with it, suck off the public teat like parasites. Hey-ho, if you keep voting them in, they'll keep doing it. Anyway, we'll round off there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.